Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 2021 Portland Open presented by Dynamic Discs. We are for the first time at Glendevere Golf Course with a last-minute change of plans due to some unfortunate pandemic side effects, and we have our first time at this course. I'm Madison Walker.
And I'm Erika Stinchcomb, and we're the two hot geese. Honk, honk.
Honk.
And there's a hot goose up there. I have the honor and pleasure of playing with Juliana Korver, Catrina Allen, and Hailey King. Some real crushers, so I'm just happy to be, part of the team.
And I'm happy to watch Erika crush on camera.
Oh, man. It's weird commentating on yourself.
Get used to it.
All right, so hole 1 is a par 3. Well, actually, for the women, it's a par 4. For the men, it's a par 3. So it's 540 feet. There's OB sidewalk along the left. There's short bunkers. The right side I don't think is OB. There's just trees that can definitely get in your way if you turn something over. It's an elevated tee shot, so if you, don't quite have the right line on it, there's so much air to either have you just turn and burn too far to the right or go OB to the left. So it's pretty technical, but also a very gettable birdie.
Yeah, any mistake that you make with the disc angle is going to be highlighted 100% because of how steep this angle is. It's also kind of a low ceiling off the tee. There's some branches you have to avoid for the best shot for this hole. You can see Juliana throwing nose down, avoiding those branches, no problem.
Just beautiful. It's like she's done that before. That's a Roadrunner, and it's so cool to see Juliana back on tour. She is playing a lot more this year. She signed up for a lot more Pro Tour. She's really enjoying her time, so looking forward to seeing more of her.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of the greatest stories of the year. Her coming back out shining like we all knew she would, and kind of I think surprising herself and deciding taking the plunge. We're happy for her, and we're so excited to get to play with her more often.
This is an M2. Catrina has so much power. It's super smart for her to disc down and make sure she just lands in the middle. Has a nice easy pitch up.
Winner of the 2020 Queen City Classic, Erika Stinchcomb.
Erika opting for the sidearm off the tee. Love the play.
Yeah, I wouldn't really call myself a strong sidearm player, but I just think that out of bounds is so scary and easy to find that I'd rather just pitch up a sidearm. And it's like a harder second shot, but I know I'm going to be safe.
And rounding out
that was a Lucid Raider. My nerves are just off the charts at this point.
Wisco Disco. Hailey King.
Hailey opting for the backhand flat to Anheuser shot as well. She kind of pulls on it. It goes a little bit more right than you want, but it looks like it's finishing out fine, and she should be able to get up. She's way down there.
Fine being 440 feet, according to Bushnell.
That was a crush.
Yeah, we're going to see them crush all day. In practice, my forehand ended on the left every time, and I just pitched a backhand, so this was the first time I was over here on the right, and I just kind of fluffed this upshot.
Yeah,
a little bit.
If you flip something on that approach, you find the sidewalk so easily. It's a little scary. Trina finds the inside of the circle. No problem getting up and down. She's done that a million times. Has Juliana's approached us her JK AVR as well? It's gotta be.
I am not sure, but I think so. That's what it looks like.
She was putting with blues before the round, blue JKs. Looking seasoned and perfect.
I was happy that the branches weren't really in my way for this one.
From circle 2.
Boom. Oh. Left side catch.
Yes, hole 1. Hitting a circle 2, no big deal.
It was a huge deal, actually. I knew I just had to give that a chance. They were all close for their birdie. This is one of the easier holes. I was super happy to convert on this one.
Yes, honk.
Oh, here's my husband and caddy Ian slow clapping for me.
Yes, starting out the round with a hot goose in slow motion.
Yeah, first GK replay.
I am amused. Juliana for her birdie.
Yeah, good little tester to start the round.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yes.
No
we get
problem.
Will we get to see a star birdie on hole 1?
Sure seems like
out
it.
the gate.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Hailey has this.
So this course did not open up until the Wednesday before the event for practice. So most of us only got maybe 2 at max 4 practice rounds in on this almost 11,000 foot course. So we're all kind of getting a feel as we go and learning these holes and learning the shots as we go. Hole 2 is a par 4. You have to shoot through these trees. There's a couple different gaps you can hit, but I think the Anheuser route that the camera flew through is the popular route. You want to land out here in the open somewhere and then just try to get inside this barrier of trees that surrounds the green. If you land behind one of those trees, it makes putting really difficult. So you want to just make sure you can try to slide in through one of the gaps inside the circle.
If you get out the gap at all, which unfortunately Juliana will have to try next shot. If you get out there at all, the upshot's like pretty far, but also it's like very doable to get there for a birdie. I think, like you said, the main trouble is if you accidentally land behind the tree.
So I'm eating my words here. Juliana goes for the straight gap. Catrina goes for the Heiser gap. Everyone on my card went for the Anheuser gap. So like I said, there is a lot of options here.
I like the Anheuser. I was surprised to see them go Heiser too. I mean, it's probably a little more open, but like it definitely cuts off distance.
Ooh.
Yeah, I just turned mine over a little too hard trying to hit the gap.
That's a scary place to land over there. There's a wall of trees.
Yeah, it was a new spot for me.
Hailey opts for that Anheuser line as well.
Shows you how it's done.
Yeah, getting way over on the disc, but letting the stability finish it out, lands flat, gets way down there.
Perfect.
Oh, you got a gap?
Yeah, I was happy to see I just have a Heiser. So this is that same Lucid Raider I threw on 1 and just Heisering and playing for the par, obviously, at this point.
The long par.
Yeah, I did make it long.
Juliana having kind of a funky angle to throw through. She goes kind of sideways through the gap, but gets out no problem. She'll also have kind of a longer approach to get up and down for her par.
She landed farther than me. Catrina got so far on her first Heiser shot. She's throwing this so well right now. She did yank this one a little bit, but she'll be just outside circle 2.
Yeah, gets a little ground play. Yeah, it's kind of funny. After last week, we competed at De La Viega, and it is tight wooded fairways. You're punished if you miss your lines like infinitely. So it's kind of strange to come back out to this type of course, and where you have all this airspace, all this room, all these decisions to make, and nothing that kind of guides your disc and forces you to choose an angle. You can just kind of rip.
Definitely. I threw a Tersus and I just turned it over just a little bit. I'm still inside the circle, but I'll have to compete with a tree there. Yeah, this course is super open. There's been some comments too. There really isn't much out of bounds for a golf course. So it's really, yeah, it's like not super punishing. Wow, that was a great shot.
Especially for everyone that's out there throwing, kind of what would normally be risky rollers. There's just not a lot of risk. We have a lot of room to error. Hailey, we got a Bushnell distance finder.
Unreal, around the tree.
That had to have been a little bit blind too. She just relied on the hyzer of her putter.
Yeah, just perfect angle. Little bounce off the cage here. Boop.
Yes. Love seeing that with a standstill too, almost like a little spinny throw.
Yeah, Hailey doesn't really jump putt like ever. Super rare, so she's got so much spin on the disc.
Catrina from outside circle 2 for her birdie. Finds the Thunderbird bar koozie, or actually it's a Bushnell koozie on this basket.
I can only see about half the basket. I just didn't give it enough hyzer.
Those hyzer putts are hard, especially when they're short. This plate is a pretty perfect women's hold, around 20% below par, around 20% above par. It's kind of what you want out of a women's hole.
Moving on to hole 3, par 4 is 576 feet. There is a gap. I think most people are going to go hyzer, and then you're playing kind of up these, I guess, golf teeing areas, and then there's an OB sidewalk that wraps pretty tightly behind it and to the left there. So definitely on your approach, you want to be a little bit more right than left. There is an anhyzer gap, but it's much smaller. These tee pads were a little bit odd. They're like really tall turf, and the grain just like feels like you're fighting it the whole way. So they did extend the tee pad. So you'll see a lot of people going to the side on a lot of these teeing areas. Hailey yanked hers a little bit over to the next tee, so she might have some trees to contend with. Juliana shows us the perfect line here.
This plate is the second easiest hole on the course for FPO. Lots of birdies out here.
Yeah, at under 600, really anybody in the field should be able to reach this, even with the hyzer taking off maybe a tiny bit of distance rather than a straighter shot. The approach can be a little tricky and scary, but distance-wise, everybody can hit it.
Nice clean hyzer release.
Yep.
From Hot Goose Erika.
That's all you're trying to do. We should mention that Dustin Keegan did design this course. He's designed plenty of courses, but this is his first championship level one, and he did not have a lot of time. This was all put together, I don't want to say like last minute, but it was definitely rushed. And I think for the time that he had and the space that he had, I actually like the course a lot. It's long, but there's interesting shots and trees and, you know, tunnels and low ceilings and all sorts of stuff. So shout out to Dustin.
Yeah, and with as a tour trying to continue, you know, an elite level of competition while, you know, moving through an area like Oregon that's going to be really strict with the pandemic. I mean, you really just have to be ready for stuff like this to happen, and it's so hard to know what to do when they're canceling these large events that we've all already done lodging for. So it was awesome to come out and see such a beautiful piece of property too. We felt lucky to be competing out here.
Absolutely.
Juliana and Catrina throw their approach shots. This basket perched on the hill. It makes it a little bit hard to gauge your landing angle because it can definitely roll. Mm-hmm. They seem to have no problem.
I was a little short on my approach and a lot short on my putt. But
nice layup.
Par is fine, even though my face doesn't look like it's fine. Hailey from just inside.
So the way this course is set up is a little bit similar to Swenson back at the OTB Open. There's a lot of birdie options in the front 9 or the front 6 holes. You want to try to get as many birdies as you can early on because the course kind of opens up and gets more lengthy.
It's just a birdie drought.
Yeah, there's a birdie drought in the middle for sure. There's a few more you can pick up at the end, but they're pretty challenging. So it is nice to get comfy early in the round, as we see these ladies doing.
Yeah, Juliana and Catrina converting on their birdies. Hailey and I will have to settle for par.
Moving on to hole 4, one of my favorite holes on the course and one of the most wooded holes on the course. It's a par 3, it's 338 feet, but it's low ceiling and a little uphill, and I feel like it plays a little bit longer than that. There's a bunch of trees around the green that you have to avoid, more of those big trees that are really hard to putt around if you find yourself behind one. So it's going to be all about keeping power on your disc as you enter the green.
This is a strike and just a little bit too turn, but it's trying to work back. I also love this hole. I think it's designed really well. Basically, you're kind of throwing at that big tree in the middle, having it turn right before and then try to come back. Catrina says, nah, that's too much work. I'm just going to
Oh, really?
crunch an anhyzer. You see a lot of the men do this from the tee that's maybe, I don't know, 40 or 50 feet behind us to get out there. And, I mean, it takes all the trouble out of play. And I'm sure she probably got there for a birdie in practice. Otherwise, I doubt she'd do it. So, interesting shot.
Yeah, she's got to look at a putt. It's outside the circle, but it's definitely a lot more open than where Hailey's going to find herself. Oh, no, she doesn't catch any trees.
Yeah, she gets through that left side gap. You can tell it's not what she wanted. And she skips way left of the basket. I think she's inside circle, too. And I do the exact same thing. It was windier today than in practice. Like, nothing too crazy, but definitely significant.
It was a headwind, too. It was a tough wind on this hole when you're trying to get the full flight out of a disc.
Yeah, I disced up. I usually throw hybrid swords, and that was a hybrid X, which has a lot more stability, and I just didn't get the turn. I thought the headwind would kind of flip it. So all of us not in great position for the two, but maybe we'll see some fireworks and at least some easy pars, if not.
Looks like Catrina had to deal with those big trees, didn't really even have a look at the basket where she was. Hailey has a more wide open approach, and we know she can hit these from downtown. Oh my, that's two.
Yep.
2 out of 4 holes, that's amazing. Yeah, let's watch the replay. So smooth, look at that form.
Catches his top friendly little chain on the right. Beautiful.
She's one of my favorite people to watch putt.
She's one of my favorite people to watch, period.
Yes, to watch play. Erika,
yeah, maybe I should say play, not like generally watching her. Okay, I'm going to show you how windy it is here.
Erika from about the same distance doing what most of us do. There was only one birdie on the day on this hole, and we got to watch it.
Wow. I would have guessed there'd be, at least a couple.
I agree. Just one. I think we'll see more in the following days. This is, again, it was a really complicated win to get your disc all the way here for this distance and slightly uphill. So maybe we'll see more in round 2.
You've seen them in the hands of professionals, helping them compete at the highest level. Whale Sacks is a female-owned small business, handmade in the USA. We are dedicated to outstanding grip for all disc golfers.
When I walk up to the tee, I have these game plans. I know where I want to land. I know the distance to the basket from those positions. I think I'm going to land in these same areas every single time, but you never know. I know how far I am. I know the height now. Having the Bushnell Range Finder, no matter where I land, gives me that extra level of confidence.
Hole 5 is another par 4, lots of those out here. 558 feet, low ceiling to contend with. You might see people kind of skirt to the left or kind of take the branches out of play and go a little bit more hyzer to the right. This is a really tricky approach. You can see the bunker plays as a hazard and the OB pretty close behind it, being the sidewalk path there. So you're just trying to get as far as you can to make that approach a little bit easier. And so this is what I mean. Hailey's going around the bushes rather than playing under them with a big ol' hyzer.
She gets way down there. Mm-hmm. That'll make the up and down a lot more simplistic. There's a few different options, like Erika said, for where you want to land, and I didn't realize it until yesterday. I watched my card do a bunch of different stuff, and that route that Juliana just chose, that's a little bit more pinched in against the trees, you land way more left. There's so much room over there, and it makes the shot to the green a little bit easier. It's a little bit less risky because you're more looking at the basket with no out of bounds behind it, than instead of like carrying a bunker and having to go towards the sidewalk too.
Yeah, you can land on a hyzer more from the left, and there's more room on the left side of the pin. So I agree with you. But you do bring those branches into play. So risk reward for sure. Catrina choosing the outside line. I'm going to take the same line as Juliana and go a little bit more under the branches.
It's a shot I did not even try in practice. I always went wide outside.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely pulled it a little more to the right than I meant to, but nice low shot.
Get some good ground play.
I'm throwing hybrid swords every time unless I say otherwise, by the way. Little putter approach, it looks like. Well,
she's opting for the Anheuser route around the tree. I love that play instead of carrying the bunker and even bringing it into play at all. Leaves herself an outside the circle putt, but she's safe.
I'm going Gatekeeper. I'm trying to throw it on a hyzer, and then if I land pin high, I'm just trying to skip left safe, and it gets more of a forward, like a pretty giant skip.
That was a huge skip.
Yeah, I figured worst case I'd kind of skip into circle 2 left, but I just kind of misjudged it. Came in a little too hot.
Yeah, had a lot of spin on it. Hailey with a floaty approach, trying to do a similar thing. Grabs onto the green. She'll be inside the circle for her birdie.
Really great touch shot.
Catrina from 180 feet, thanks to the Bushnell disc rangefinder.
Yeah, a little PA1 off the bunker. And, whoops. Yeah.
Gets a hold of it a little bit. Skips off the sidewalk. She'll be out of bounds deep.
She's close, though. Outside the circle, look for birdie. Yeah, just a bit low.
No nonsense par. We don't hate that out here on these long holes.
Yeah, she dissected the hole well to give herself a chance.
Erika to save her par. Yeah.
Yeah, that one felt great. Definitely feeling clutch time. I'm even. All these ladies are under par. I didn't want to get over par. So happy to make that one.
Trina with the straddle.
Also
Saves her par. Another great hole for the FPO field. Oh no!
Yeah, just left side and gets kind of knocked out.
Just about 20% of the field with birdies, just about 20% with bogeys. Great scoring hole. And we move on to hole 6. It's another par 4, 702 feet, another elevated tee pad that was super fun to throw off of. There's out of bounds lining the left-hand side. You can see it pretty clearly. And the right-hand side, there is an out of bounds sidewalk, but there's some trees that kind of block it. There's this little fun ladder bunker hole that you have to go over the top of, and you want to land on this anthill mound with a basket that is just completely surrounded by danger.
The whatever ladder bunker, that green stuff in the bunker, like the grass is not safe, though I think it would be hilarious if you landed on it and got a play from it.
We all bet that it was. But we did not check the caddy book. One of the most interesting bunkers I've seen on a golf course ever. I think the most interesting.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of room to just kind of crush a disc down here. Mm-hmm. It's a fun shot. This is another Roadrunner. And great shot. This one is really hard to reach for the birdie, and it's a really dangerous green as well, so I think a lot of us are playing for par on this one.
Yeah, we'll see a lot of people throwing a distance driver off the tee and then laying up to the left side of all the bunkers and just pitching across to the green, playing for par, taking an easy par, no nonsense. On this card, we do have some distance throwers. We might see something a little bit different here.
Catrina did turn her D2 over a little bit and is a little right side, so she might have a hard time going to the green from there. This was a little early and just a little too high.
Oh, no.
And yeah, just a totally unnecessary, unforced error. I'm pretty upset with myself.
It happened so fast on those elevated tee pads.
Yeah, it like you said on hole 1, I think you said it just highlights your error when you're that high up in the air. And then I usually play this for par, but I tried to be a hero and make it over and minimize the damage, but instead end up maximizing the damage. I really wanted to land on one of those little islands.
Juliana
being smart.
Yeah, playing up to the left.
Seasoned veteran, 5-time world champion.
She knows her limits here.
Yeah.
She retired hero status even though she is an actual disc golf hero.
Right.
Catrina still looks like she's kind of going for it.
Yeah, she's going H3 V2, and she really does throw this pretty well, but yeah, it just gets trapped. It tried to get out of that bunker, but that lip caught her.
And she's still able to putt for par from that bunker with the hazard stroke. Just barely outside the circle. Hailey also going for it. She's got the distance to get down there. I was hoping we'd see this. Finds out of bounds on the right-hand side, though, and leaves her a pretty long circle 2 putt with a tree to contend with as well.
And this is why you don't try to be a hero. So fun to watch her upshots. So much just spin. And it just, flies dead straight on a rope. Beautiful shot.
This played as the most difficult hole on the course, which is no surprise with all the trouble you can get into.
Wow, this is worse than I even thought. Low ceiling. She really has no chance of saving the par.
There were no birdies on the day, and I think if, we see Catrina landing in this bunker and Hailey landing out of bounds right, I mean, we can see that some of the greatest distance throwers in the game having a hard time getting to this green. Wow.
Yeah.
What a great putt.
Mm-hmm. Man, even though she's had 2 out of bounds strokes in the last 2 holes, she's had amazing par saves. Like, it feels like she's not making any mistakes. She's so on right now.
Wow. Hearted it too, right in the center. And this is a scary basket too. If you miss the metal at all, you are going way past. It's like a natural elevated pin. I think we'll see some birdies on this hole in the next couple rounds.
I bet at least one or two, yeah.
No nonsense par from Juliana. That's what all you really are playing this hole for most of us mere mortals.
A lot of nonsense double bogey from me. Just gonna move on.
The cheeky wave on the way out.
This is our first par 5. This is a crazy hole. You're trying to land kind of to the left of this wall of trees here, and then you're trying to throw an upshot as close to this pond as you can to make your last shot easy. Bunker OB, green OB, sidewalk path OB behind it. There's not a ton of room to land safe here. You can definitely get over and get a look for a birdie if you throw absolutely perfect shots. I mean, that's true of any hole on this course. Like, you have to throw so freaking well to get a birdie, and even a par is really hard here. Par is a great score.
Yeah, you never walk off a hole with a par and feel unfulfilled, especially on some of these longer par 4s and par 5s.
So there, that tree right in the middle there, Catrina's going to go Anheuser, and she's got the power to do that and still be in a really good spot. This is her D2, and a lot of us are going to go to the right of that tree just to try to, cut off a little bit of the distance and then basically just skip to the left of the tree wall.
Yeah, there's a bunker over there to the left of that tree as well, and the right gap that Hailey just hit takes that bunker out of play, which is nice.
Yeah, if you mess up your Anheuser and maybe hyzer out a little bit or go too straight, you'll definitely find that bunker early, which is demoralizing, just awful.
Also, where you land this initial drive is really important because there's a kind of a wall of trees. If you get pinched too far to the right, you really want to try to finish as straight as possible to make that second shot to get to the landing zone for your third shot.
Yep.
More feasible. Juliana, dealing with that wall of trees we were just talking about, tries to find a gap there. She's going to take a par at absolute best with that second shot.
Hailey dealing with a fairway that most of us aren't really playing to the right side of these trees. She did not have very much falling forehand, and I mean, she did as best she could from where she was.
That cart path running through the middle of the fairway does not count as out of bounds on this hole. There's an out of bounds line on the right-hand side, but it's way out of play.
I loved my initial drive, but I caught this tree and took some distance off, so that was like a much sharper angle that I had to throw that forehand on than I've ever tried before, and I just tried to juice it, and I just burned it straight into the ground, so now I'm going to have to lay up. I usually like to go over on my third shot.
Yeah, playing for a par now at best. Catrina gets way down there on her second shot. She'll have about 320 feet left to the pin, maybe a little more than that.
Juliana dealing with this gap a little bit. She makes easy work of it, although she lands on this side hill, or I guess a downhill run up, which will be a little awkward because it takes a lot of power to get over to the pin. It doesn't look that far, but it's really easy to short the shot and land OB.
That green is there, and you want to, even if you don't have the air shot distance to get there, you want to be able to have enough spin and power on your disc to help it slide across that green.
Hailey going across. She catches early.
Does she grab?
She lands across, but the OB line is off the water a couple feet. It's a painted line. So it's kind of a tweener, but we ended up ruling her out of bounds.
Catrina from probably about more like 350 throws it on a hyzer angle at the trees. It's absolutely perfect with what you want on this hole.
Yeah, that was her X1, and now she's 20 feet for a birdie on a 948-foot hole. Wow. Mm-hmm. So you'll see this kind of awkward little downhill run up.
Juliana aims for the right side with those trees as well. That definitely is the shortest version of the shot that you're going to find.
It's the safest as well.
Mm-hmm.
So she'll be circle 2. And then I'm also have to deal with this downhill run up a little bit. It feels a little bit awkward. But I'm aiming at those trees and just trying to hyzer in.
That was a great powerful shot with the downhill run up. That looked awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, I got inside the circle.
When you have downhill run-ups, it's really hard to gauge not only your timing, but also your disc angle because you're having to force it into the air because it wants to be nose down. Hailey opting for the sidearm. Oh.
Gets across.
Oh, my gosh. Mm-hmm. Finds the fringe. She'll be right around circle's edge.
That was her Raptor, and good recovery shot. This is for a par save.
These are a little short. These elevated. This is the first elevated basket, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of the round. They're a little scary, especially when you get to the first one. Got to remind yourself what this is like. Oh no.
Yep, just a little left side.
Looks like it did a little dance inside the basket before it came out. Erika for her par. No.
1 inch too low.
That was the meanest nub.
I thought it was in, but just didn't quite give it enough oomph. But a 6 doesn't feel like the worst thing in the world here. But I'm sure a 4 feels amazing.
Yeah, what a great birdie. She's one of only 4 on the day. Congrats to Ella Hansen and Valerie and Alexis Mandujano. Both got the 4s. We know Hailey is not happy with that. Kind of a lot happened on that hole. A lot she had to bounce back from. It was definitely the epitome of that spiral you can get on some of these longer par 5s, especially when they're so technical. Moving on to hole 8. Nice to have a short par 3 after that monster hole. It's 342 feet, but it is uphill. It plays a lot longer than that. There's some low ceiling branches you have to deal with, and if you hit them, you can go out of bounds early and left on a green. It's definitely in play. You'd have to tickle those branches to get all the way over there. No out of bounds next to the basket at all. It's pretty wide open. So if you can get up near there, you can run at any putt that you find yourself with.
Catrina's first roller of the day. That's her F7. Yeah, I mean, gets all the distance, but from our perspective, it disappeared, and then we just see it pop into view right there.
Smoked it.
So, I mean, she'll have no trouble getting her par. And like this, it plays, I feel like, more like 380. And if you're going down the gap like Juliana's trying to do here, it's so hard to get up there to get a putt. It's so technical, and it just feels like it takes everything you have just to get into circle 2.
It really does. And that where Juliana landed is where most discs are going to error, is behind that wall, like line of trees and bushes over on the right-hand side. This hot goose, though.
That is everything I have to get to circle 2.
She finds the gap, uses that path, and slides all the way up to circle 2. That was a great drive.
Thank you. Hailey going power player, hyzer to the right, looking for that skip to get up.
Wow.
It kind of skips more forward rather than left, but she's also in circle 2.
Yeah, but I never even thought about, I guess I'm not a power player.
Well, do you throw 400 feet?
Yeah, but like playing past those trees on a hyzer angle, it makes so much sense.
I actually wondered when I saw it if some of the power players would be doing that. I didn't expect roller on this hole.
Me neither. She gets her easy up and down. Juliana has kind of a technical step out, patent pending shot. No problem.
Trying to light up the basket one more time.
Erika CTP.
Not even close. I switched recently from like a jump putt to a step putt, and sometimes if I don't do it right, it's just not enough power and it hyzers out too early.
Very soft bit.
Just so gentle.
So gentle.
I mean, I was happy with my drive, but definitely frustrated that I didn't even give it a chance.
We'll have a round of easy pars on this hole. Only one birdied 2 on the day on hole 8, and it goes to Miss Paige Pierce. No surprises. This is definitely a hole that rewards distance.
I think all of the par 3s play a little uphill and are hard to reach. Like, the distance doesn't quite do it justice.
Definitely.
The distance does it justice here, though. 914 feet, par 5, up this hill. You're landing on this hill on your first shot, no matter how far you throw. And then it's kind of an awkward second shot because it kind of forces you to throw nose up and the footing's a little weird. And then there's no danger until you get to the end here where you have a bunker on your left. I guess 2 bunkers. 3 bunkers?
And there's also out of bounds deep that
exactly.
definitely comes into play.
Yeah, exactly.
Not spoken from experience.
Of course not.
I was talking with my card on this hole, and it's kind of sad because you throw as hard as you can on the tee pad, and then you get, unless you throw a roller like Catrina, and she's probably going to go forever.
Yeah, anytime you see that disc that has that kind of spin die, that's her F7 that she likes to roll, and she's telling it to get up and over the hill, and that's a pretty common place to land even for an air shot.
But you like get to your disc and you turn around, you look at the tee pad, and you're like, this is how far I went for how much power I just put into that.
Looks like it's 200 feet, 700 to go.
Yeah. Juliana turns it a little bit. She'll be over on the right-hand side, kind of hanging out with the trees, but she gets past, no problem. There is a Mando tree over there that doesn't really come into play unless you super air to the right, which is easy to do on this uphill when you're throwing something less stable in order to hopefully get your disc to carry all the way up the hill.
Everything I have to barely get up the hill. Let's see what Hailey can do with this Zeus. Turns it, similar to Juliana, gets past that tree as well.
After watching Catrina and Ella and a couple other women out here throwing these massive bomb rollers, the women on my card were talking and realizing like it's going to become part of the game as long as we keep playing these golf courses, that we have to all learn these rollers.
We absolutely. Everyone's thinking that. And I think we'll start to see the women throw more and more rollers.
Everyone has already learned their sidearms. I mean, it's mandatory to be competitive to have a sidearm, and I feel like with golf courses, like we have to get there in order to be competitive.
Absolutely. That's a really common mistake. I think anyone of you who's listening who's thrown uphill, you know that it's really easy to either not give it enough anhyzer and kind of just fade out, or you give it too much anhyzer and burn it into the ground. It's hard to get it just right.
Or you're Catrina and you absolutely rip a roller on the absolute perfect line.
Yeah, roller, duh.
God, that was the most perfect angle with the awkward uphill footing. I mean, that just blows my mind.
Yeah,
That
unbelievable.
was unbelievable.
You could tell she wasn't happy with the first one, so she just did it better the second time.
And it's just so hard to get power when you're running uphill like
Absolutely.
that. And that went so far.
Yeah, very impressive.
Erika at the top of the hill for her third shot.
Just playing for par.
For a lot of people, the bunker doesn't quite come into play yet on that third shot, which is a lot more. It's kind of comfy that way. Just play this for par.
Yeah, if you don't get a good second shot when you're on that hill, there's no point in trying to get close to the basket, in my opinion.
Such a monster sidearm from Hailey. She gets so much spin on it, really engages her body really well. Still, it comes up just a tiny bit short, so you know how far that third shot is, even if you can throw really far.
This is that red Roadrunner.
I would say that sidearm she was probably about 400 feet away.
You think it's that far?
Maybe she was probably a little bit further than that away.
Wow.
So, yeah. And it's still uphill too, so it plays a little farther.
The old trusty PA1 doing what it does.
God, I can't imagine having that easy of an up and down for birdie on this hole.
Mm-hmm.
That's just, it's not even in my wheelhouse.
And that's why we all have to learn rollers. Catrina definitely the best roller player of the game. Huge advantage for her out on these golf courses. I leave mine a little bit short.
Juliana up on the hill with that out of bounds behind the basket. It's steeply rolling back towards the out of bounds pathway, so it makes this shot real scary.
She gets caught up on the hill a little bit too. Doesn't really skip on this grass, but you know, pretty close.
Hailey with a standard just pitch up. Doesn't look like she's trying to do much. I do not blame her here. Nice par from Juliana. And if you can do that out on this course, I mean, you're going to shoot well. I think we'll see people a few strokes under par. I don't know what my guess was for hot would be between 4 and 5, maybe 6 down on this course. So we'll see what happens.
Let's just not talk about.
Yeah, we'll just
wheels
keep talking about the scores.
Wheels are coming off. I'm way too far over par.
And there's just not a lot of birdie. It's not like you can be like, oh, I can minimize this damage later on. Nope.
No, I'm in the full anxiety spiral.
And what an amazing birdie from Catrina. There was only one other birdie on the day from Paige Pierce.
That wraps up the front 9. So some great play. Catrina and Hailey Catrina and Juliana both under par. Hailey with that unfortunate 7 is at even. Hot Goose over here struggling a little bit.
She's a little loosey-goosey on the front 9.
A little bit. See if we can tighten that up on the back.
And maybe we'll check on the leaderboard for the rest of the FPO field. We see Deanne Carey doing work in the front 9. 3 under par. Love seeing her in the top 10. Jessica Weiss, no surprise. Tied with a whole bunch of people at -1. We see another Madison down on the bottom. Tied with Hailey King at even. And not as many birdies as you'd hope, but there's some more to come. There's more people climbing up the leaderboard as we go.
Thank you guys for joining us on the front 9. Come join us on the back, round 1.
I'm Madison Walker.
I'm Erika Stinchcomb.
We're the 2 hot geese. Honk.
Honk.